This week on the ParkitonPodcast, we get into our match reports, we do a little recapping of the Trans Tasman tournament that happened over the weekend, our first entry on the pay to win index, and of course a little bit of Schuey's wisdom. It's time to park it on. Welcome back on into the Park It On podcast, the only lawn bowls podcast that tries to capture the feeling of really just parking a lawn bowl on for shot. My name's Riley, I play in Div 5, and joining me, as always, is the incomprehensible, the indecipherable, the complete and utter enigma, Mr. Jimmy!
G'day. How's it going? Another week and another tournament. Pretty crazy stuff over the weekend, but I'm excited to dive right into it.
Yeah, mate. It's been an absolutely cracking weekend of bowls. Some really cool matches going on. But before we get into the actual good bowlers, it's time to recap a couple of games that we got into through the week. So we'll start us off with a little bit of a match report on my Pennants season. So, for those who are brand new to the Park It On podcast, and why would you be? You know, dedicated listeners from episode 1 should already know, but I play Div 5 for the mighty Grange Dolphins. And we play on a Saturday in the Open Fours. And this week, Jimmy, not so good of a result.
Yeah.
I said last week, going in, that this is the opposition's 5th team on a Saturday. And when I chatted to them, they end up having 9 teams on a Saturday. So have a think to your local bowls club bowlers and just think about how many people 9 teams on a Saturday is. It's a bit crazy. But yes, Somerton, very, very strong club, fantastic people. I had an absolute blast playing against them. We did lose 13-19, but, you know, it could have been a lot worse, Jimmy.
Yeah.
We started off the day a little early because of the heat policy here in South Australia. For those that aren't aware, when it gets too hot, the bowl starts a bit early. I would imagine that's very similar across all territories and states, but you never know. We were playing early in the morning. Our first bowl was at 9 in the morning, which is a bit early for a bit of bowls, I must admit. I was complaining that I was a bit too, you know, I couldn't go as crazy as I perhaps would want to on a Friday night. It was very disappointing. I was too sober, too not hungover if the words are correct. Regardless, we played Somerton. We played them at home, so Grange greens are quite quick, and because, you know, you bowl now. I've been bowling at Grange for a few years now, 3 or 4. And when you bowl on a quick green, doesn't matter what time of day it is, you sort of always assume it's going to be quick. So when we were bowling at 9 a.m. when it was still pretty cool, I was assuming it was going to have a level of roll on that it just didn't end up having for a little while. And you can see in the actual shots, you can see in the actual scorecard that once the green started to roll on a bit more, Grange started scoring a lot more shots, and we actually really took it to them. You know, these guys were very, very strong, and we really took it to them. And, you know, I've said time and again, on our day, we can take anyone down. And, you know, we didn't quite get over the line there, but I think we did a pretty solid job. I'm very proud of my rink. It could be very easy to get upset, especially with how good the second and the third were for Somerton. Those guys were crazy. I was given the second shit all day for just how well he was playing. I was like, see you in Prems next week, big dog. Because he was parking them on. He was playing heavy stuff. Everything he did turned to gold. And, you know, sometimes you have those days, and bloody well, he was on song. Can't sing his praises enough. Legend. But yes, we were winning a few ends to finish us off, but we weren't winning the expensive ones, you know. I think we got a 3 or a 4, and that was about it. You know, for the most part, it was just 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. And unfortunately, like what happened last time out, you know, our opponents were just winning these expensive ends, and it ended up being the case that we just couldn't quite get it over the line. But we tried our absolute guts out, and that was fantastic, you know. I'm quite happy with how I bowled, especially towards that second half when the roll-on was in the green. I was putting some absolute pearlers in. I was playing a few shots. I did screw up my heavy shots. That was not my best outing on them. But I also didn't have many opportunities to really play them. A lot of the times when I was stepping up to the mat, it was essentially please just park one nearby. And so that's what I was doing. Now I was just doing my draw bowling, getting it close. And, you know, for as long as you're able to put stuff near the jack, your opposition's going to be under pressure. And so, full credit to Somerton. Again, I can't sing these guys' praises enough. They bowled their arms off. They put us under pressure consistently all day long, and it showed. And we were really scrambling for a while to try and just get stuff on the board. But, I was pretty happy with my performance. I would have thought it would have warranted me getting the backing in, old Jimster. It's not the case.
No.
Oh, dearie me. My opinions of the lead bowling position are not a secret, shall we say. I think it's a very valid position. I just hate playing it. But, it teaches you a lot about your draw bowling, and it gives you an opportunity to really just have that one-on-one contest with the opposition's lead that I'm just going to go in treating it like a singles match on Saturday. I'm just going to be bowling like there's no one else on the rink, and I just have to get the shot. Doesn't matter how I do it. Just got to park some on and get the shot. Look, lead is not my favourite position in the game. I much prefer 2 or 3, but when we're playing Henley 4, at Henley no less, which is the team just below us on the ladder, we lost all but one rink, which means they are in touching distance of us now. So we've just got to play to everyone's strengths, and I do have a pretty solid, just nice wide draw bowl on me. Play to everyone's strengths and try and really just capture the magic and park some bowls on.
Yeah.
Yes, it should be a really good contest. I really like the Henley Bowling Club. I get to play there 2 times this season because they've got 2 teams in this div. Really cool people, and I'm looking forward to a nice solid match.
Yeah, nice. Chucking them those Dreamline XGs down.
That's right. My favourite bowls of all time, the old Dreamline XG 4 heavies. My little dolphins on the side. They just have this beautiful, consistent arc to them. Oh, gorgeous.
Love it.
And you know what? If we ever get a bowl sponsorship from someone else, I just really love how they have this nice, consistent drive on it. But that's not all the bowls that we had this week, Jimmy. The Terry Termites had a couple of games on Thursday night. I'd love to hear how we went.
Yeah, really good. We had 5 step up, but then we had one bloke pull out at the last second. So we just had the 4 rocking up for the week, which is all you really ask for is a full team. But it's always nice to sort of have the moral support of the friends around, keeping you going. First game, up against the team called the Bowling Stones. They're lovely blokes. Oh, great name. Love it. Really interesting game, this one. So it was very windy to start out the night last Thursday. Very windy indeed, and it really felt like up one end, I think it was the Bowls Club end. No matter where you sort of put it, it just kept running 2 meters past the jack. Somehow, it's just. But yeah, once that sort of settled down, and again, as you said earlier in the match report, you could definitely see it in the scorecard. They got up pretty early. I think they got up 4 shots. I think we were on 1 or something along those lines, and then
that sounds about right.
Yeah, and then we just decided to turn it on, and I think it was that wind dying down that we could sort of actually lock in a little bit. Ended up with the win for the first game, 14-4. But I think that was definitely helped with the last end of the 7 end game being a 7 for us. So that was pretty massive on the team's part, and we very confused in the end for that one. But it made us happy to take away the 10-point win.
Yeah, not a very representative scoreline. Those guys deserved a bit of a better line against it. I think we did deserve the win in the end, but a 10-shot win against guys that were playing that solidly is really not fair.
It's overs.
Yeah,
really.
It is overs. And you get that in bowls, but power to them. Keep bowling on, Bowling Stones.
Yeah. So so the second game started, and from the start we were like, I don't think this is a good one. They just sort of started parking everything on, getting on the inside of our bowls. So they were the Cannon Bowlers. I forgot to say their name. But yeah, so Riley said last week about the idea of like the warpath. Like you come out of the first game with a loss and you sort of go, okay, we're shifting mindset here. And it really felt like that coming into this game. These guys were just on a tear and ready to demolish whoever they were playing. We got one. I'll say that. We got one. So we ended up losing 13-1. So we avoided the nudie run, which is good. Yeah, not a whole lot to say about that game. They were alright competition. They weren't too much of an asshole team. They yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not a secret that Night Owls at Grange have two very distinct camps in it. You know, there's a sort of group that are very intent on the we're here to have fun, down a couple bevs, just roll some bowls, and that's awesome. There's also a contingent that are like, we have to win, and we have to do everything by the rules, and that's how it all goes. And there is a bit of a mismatch there. So sometimes when you get a team like us, where it is completely about, you know, people just haven't had a bowl before, I reckon they'll enjoy it, let's have a roll and have a bit of fun. And then you have fellas that are like, we've declared a 3, and then one of their other bowlers wanders up, is like, no, it's a 4, and then starts like measuring and carrying on about it when they're already up by like 7 or 8 shots. You know, there's like,
it's time and place gear.
There's following the rules.
Time and place.
Yeah. Like there's following the rules, and there's, you know, opportunities potentially in matches where you're playing a team like the Stretchers, who are miles away the best team in the league, versus when you're playing us, who are like third from the bottom, and you're winning by like 7 shots, and it's the 4th end of the game. Like, there's a time and a place to be doing shit like that, and it didn't help that, you know, I have a bit of back issues every now and then, so I can get a bit grumpy, shall we say. But, you know, I was already in a bit of pain, and then these guys were just sticking the knife in just that little bit, and it wasn't intentional. Like, they weren't being assholes or anything. It was just, you know, on a different night, I would have taken it better, but I was pretty grumpy to finish that game, I have to admit.
Yeah, look, it felt like very like bully a little brother type stuff, but yeah, I had a really nice chat to one of the blokes about my my bowls. So the bowls that I got given by my dad, and they're commemorative bowls for the rugby league team for the town that I'm from. And he saw it, and he was reading the Junee Diesels, and he was asking about it because he's actually from another sort of railroad town, and we're just talking about like rugby league and stuff, and it ended up being really cool. But yeah, look, onwards to the next week, I think. Hopefully we can pull together another performance, because it seems that our friends are sort of on the ilk that the Terry Termites are just winners now. So we get messages every week just saying, yeah, that was expected, a win for the first of the night. So then to go down 13-1 in the second game is a bit disappointing, but you just get that in Night Owls. You get these people that are Saturday bowlers just going, oh, it's time to train. And, you know, it can hurt the morale a little bit, but like I'm stoked we at least got one.
Yeah, man. Like, the amount of times that we had like a 1 or a 2 kicking around, their skip would just draw a bowl in and win for them. Like, that's hero skip behavior, but I was so grumpy.
I think even the one we got, I think that was essentially we did the same thing to them. I think Ethan sort of just parked one in and just sort of knocked one of theirs out, and we ended up just getting the one, which was huge.
Yeah, Ethan had a night on song, man. He was skipping like a pro, just putting stuff in where it needed to go. He was playing good shots. It was really awesome to see. Yeah, like I'm a Saturday bowler. You know, we joke that I'm the expert of the podcast. And, you know, I do use Night Owls as an opportunity to train, but I do that in a fashion where I'm playing lead, so I am literally just draw bowling the whole time, and, you know, I'll give people a bit of advice. That's literally it. You know, I'm not out there going like, oh, I got to play skip and park on my 2 bowls and win us the ends. That's not really how I personally see Night Owls as an evening. You know, there's a competition aspect to it, yes, and whenever you have a competition aspect, there are going to be people who are going to be more competitive than others, but it just sort of is a bit of a mismatch for me personally, the way that it goes on. But we unfortunately were not good enough.
I think we'll talk about the main tournament of the episode here. We'll talk about the Trans Tasman. Australia going up against New Zealand at 9i in Wellington. Couple of milestones coming into this for Bowls Australia that I found out. So Carl Healy getting his 100th cap for Australia. Serena
Nice.
Bonnell, 50 caps. Now this one I thought was... I actually think I've written his name wrong on here. I'm just going to fact check this before I sing his praises, because it's actually a big one.
I mean, we could just completely mispronounce his name and make an enemy of him. 2 episodes in.
No, I don't want to make an enemy of this one. It's Jake Failberg. I put a D instead of an F. Jake Failberg, who got 100 caps, and he is the first vision-impaired bowler to do so.
Nice.
And that is fucking sick.
It is fucking sick, I agree. That's something that I really wanted to highlight about this Trans Tasman comp that we had. It was the men's, women's, and the para, including all the development squads, all playing together.
Yeah.
It was fucking awesome to see, man. Very often, it will be one of those that gets showcased. It will be just the open men and women. It'll just be the development squads, or it'll just be para. And to have them all together in the test format they were doing was just so cool.
Yeah.
I was so stoked watching these guys absolutely just park stuff on. It genuinely makes me a little proud of our game that we can have a tournament like this where it's just everyone's together. No one gives a shit that you're Australia A or whatever. Sure, you'll play at slightly different times and you'll play developmentally appropriate opposition, but everyone's there together as the same group, working towards a common goal, and that's just so sick. So sick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then lastly, last milestone was Aaron T's massive 200th cap for Australia going into this game. Good on him. 200 times representing Australia in any sport is a massive achievement. Good on you, Aaron.
That's worthy of an Australian sports medal, surely.
Yeah, I reckon.
I mean, they give them out to Olympians, so 1 Olympics, 200 matches. It's basically the same thing.
I reckon. First big thing about the Trans Tasman, in my opinion, these bloody Kiwis have the coolest team name, the Blackjacks. Unbelievable, elite naming. I think all of the Kiwi teams have really cool names. There's it's the All Blacks are the rugby, the Black Caps are the cricket team. Then you got the Blackjacks, which are bowls, and then I'm pretty sure their basketball team is the Tall Blacks.
That's sick.
Massive.
That's a really sick name. I love New Zealand. What a cool country.
Very
cool
people.
Country.
Very cool.
Very
country.
pretty. Shout outs to our listeners in New Zealand. I know there's 2 of them.
Yeah. I couldn't watch this on the weekend, so I was sort of catching it up during this week. Watched a decent chunk of it today. It looked like a really interesting venue. It's sort of like an undercover green, but they've got windows and doors, so it almost looks like a greenhouse. It
kind of looks a bit like those bowling super centers that are on the East Coast, stuff like Moama.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. What Grange eventually will develop into, apparently, which will be nice.
Yeah, so I'll go into a couple of the things that I was looking at. So the 2 main ones that I watched this afternoon was I watched the men's 4s and the men's singles. Firstly, interesting chat I heard during the 4s. The Aussie men's at one point early on into the game, after the New Zealand bowler bowled his last bowl, the Aussies started walking, with the bowl, essentially. And the commentators said, look, you might, I think a lot of people would sort of frown upon this, but really there's nothing that there's nothing that they can really do to affect this. He's left the bowl, and essentially they said that it could save 10 minutes over the length of the game if more people did that, especially on sort of that TV tournament area. I can't see it being picked up on a Saturday, but I think it's a really interesting idea for tournaments to sort of keep the tempo up, especially in this sort of BPL era that we're in, where we're trying to get the game more exciting.
Yeah, there is a level of it that happens on a Saturday even, where the last bowler like the last third to deliver in the fours will just walk up after their bowl. It is frowned upon because the idea being if you walk so close to the bowl, your footsteps may impact it, or you may kick the bowl or whatever, but it'd be such an obvious thing to do. Like, it'd be such an obvious cheat that you just immediately get completely dogpiled.
Oh, you'd be fired out of a cannon.
Yeah, just like a head caved in with hammers level stuff, man. It's just like not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I am quite fond of the old wander up the green after the bowl, as you'd be well aware.
Yeah.
When I deliver my bowl, I have a bit of a follow through where I'm watching my bowl and sort of counting how long it goes down the green. And as part of that, I take some steps forward, which our friend Caleb takes the piss out of me for every single week.
One of the Oppo took the piss out of it as well one day as well.
Yeah, we don't talk about that guy.
I don't know. I've sort of started to develop it also, just from a momentum-based thing. But yeah, I don't know. I rate it. I especially love watching it from a spectator's perspective, seeing the idea of like, oh, he likes this one, he's following it down, he's watching the line, he's on the line, and then like, especially when they pull it off and it just sort of coasts in, it just gives that really sort of exciting vibe to it. I really like it.
Yeah, absolutely. You see a lot of it in the Prem Leagues where you have a lot of bowlers that will follow their bowls down, even in the 2s and 3s, depending on what is going on in the game. You know, there'll often be a bit of a crowd up the head, regardless of what time of the match it is. It's really exciting to let go of a bowl and just follow it down and see it go in as you're like cheering it on. Oh, there is no better feeling. Like I've never really been much of a follow it the whole way down. I always stop about halfway and then come back. Partly because like it is my space when I am standing on the mat, and I have like a routine that I follow, and that routine involves standing and watching my bowl. And I've found that if I'm standing on the mat, I'll have opponents like stood right up against the edge of the mat to immediately step on after I'm off, which I am annoyed about. So I just walk a little bit further off and then they don't hassle me so much. But yeah, in Prem League, you'll see it at every single end. Someone will follow their bowl down, like cheer it on, be like, yes, let's go. Man, Prem League bowls is just so much fun to watch. It's like any high-level bowls is just so entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I understand that people from an outsider's perspective are going to look at bowls and go, you're just rolling stuff on like a lawn. How's that impressive? But when you see that first like really impressive shot and you go, oh, that's chuck that between my toes so it doesn't leave visible scars, man. I just that stuff is hot. I love it.
There was one that I think I posted to the Discord with a bunch of our mates in it. It was I think it was last year's Australian Open pairs, sorry. The last shot of the game, so it went to a tied end. It's these two 19-year-olds against these other two blokes, and it was very neck and neck. And then it gets down, it's literally the last bowl, and this 19-year-old who, like, these guys have been very conservative the whole game, and then he just puts this drive in and it just perfectly arcs, and because they're playing no dead ends, they know they're going to win if it just goes out, and you can just hear them going off as it's just rolling down, and it's like, it's unlike anything I would have thought bowls could be. And it's one of those things that sort of, again, as you said, like between the toes type stuff, like love it. Love the energy.
Bowls has such an exciting future ahead of it. It just needs that little bit of like fellas like us that aren't, you know, top level bowlers, just filling in and making sure that it stays around for that really exciting future. It's just, oh man, I'm so excited about the future of bowls. If there's more people like that just coming through the systems, just doing stuff, oh, what a cool game, man. I just love this game. It's so cool.
Next order of business on the Trans Tasman, Kiwis won one of the big parts of the tournament, in my opinion. Coolest name, and that one for me goes to Finbar McGuigan.
Nice, that is a ripper name.
McGuigan, it might be. Unbelievable name. Unbelievable name.
All right, Finbar, we're getting you on the potty, mate. we need to first of all, get a proper pronunciation. And second of all, ask you about something. I don't know yet. I'll work it out.
But yeah, the second sort of game I watched today, or at least like tried to watch all of, was the men's singles. Wilson v McIlroy. Wilson being the Aussie, McIlroy being the Kiwi. I'm going to say, straight from the top, Aaron Wilson has one of the craziest setups I've ever seen.
Yeah, he is. Old disco, yeah.
McIlroy bowls it, and then Wilson's immediately walking down the other end, in between the head and the bowl that's coming down. Just pure fucking alpha energy. Picks the bowl up, turns, barely aims, and just rolls it. And it's like, how do you do that? And like, I think it's the most alpha shit I've ever seen on a green. Afterwards, I must have missed it going through the replay because I was sort of working and watching bowls at the same time. But there was an end where it was his first bowl. So McIlroy had bowled, and it was probably like a foot off the jack. And yeah, Wilson picks up the bowl and just drives. First bowl.
Yeah.
Drives and knocks the kitty out and gets it. Yeah, gets it out. And I think that's probably why he won in the end of the tiebreak, because McIlroy took the first set and then it was Wilson. And I think it was just he got in his head with the energy.
Anyone playing Aaron Disco Wilson ought to be just shaking in their boots. Man's a 2-time Commonwealth gold medalist. He is the biggest fucking Chad of lawn bowls that exists. Man just walks out and he has to just lift the front of his pants a little bit so that his nutsack doesn't just drag a massive fucking groove through the green. He is just the fucking coolest dude.
Bane of greens.
Cranking these bowls out. Man, what a guy.
And then, so the last thing I've got written down for the Trans Tasman here is Nathan Black still hasn't accepted our follow request on Instagram. Good on you, Nathan. Good on you for winning the Trans Tasman. Park It On wants to follow.
Yeah, we just want to like your posts, big dog. You know, you're forgetting your Grange roots, which aren't even your roots because we stole you from the country leagues. You know, you played at Grange for a period of time, and you should remember that.
There's a Spacequake video where the bowl flips down and it has Grange Bowling Club on it. So, you know, must count for something.
It does. It absolutely must, you know. We are in no way affiliated with the Grange Lawn Bowls Club, just to make that explicitly clear.
That's just where we bowl.
But, you know, accept our follow request, big dog. You know, Trans Tasman was pretty sick. You know, I didn't get an opportunity to watch nearly as much as I would have liked to. But, you know, the quality of bowling on display from both nations, and like I said again, the inclusive nature of the whole event was just so cool to see. I'm so stoked. Fly us over there, Bowls Australia. Get us to commentate it next time.
I reckon.
Wait, we'll wander over to Modbury Bowls Club, which is where the Prem League bowling is being broadcast from Friday night. I reckon we'll just like push the hosts out of the chairs. Like, nah, this is a Park It On takeover, gentlemen. Terribly sorry. It's time to roll some bowls. All right, moving on to a little project that we introduced last week, the Pay to Win Index. Now, those of you who are very valued, loyal listeners will remember that when we played a Sunday tournament a few months back now, we sank an ungodly amount of Canadian Club and dry cans. We reached a point where we reckon, you know what? We're actually playing pretty well. And at that point, I reckon we landed on was 12. Because once we got over the threshold, it was like a good old roller coaster, just like all the G-force, just dragging our performance straight down into the gutter. But yes, I have gone out and done some data collection, and I'm pleased to announce that at time of recording, a CC in dry at the Grange Lawn Bowls Club costs you $9.80, which means for 12 of them to get to your optimum performance. Again, this is not health advice. It's going to run you just under 120, $117.60, which is a pretty good number, but I reckon we can do better. I reckon there's a club that has them for $8.
That's in a pairs setting.
So yes, that is the pairs number, old Jimster. 58.80 if you're just playing your singles. Cranking out that 6 to 7 cc in dries. Further drinking, maybe not so good, but
yeah, I was talking to some blokes at Night Owls about it. It was the guys are the cannon bowls, yeah, cannon bowlers. About the pay to win index, because we're talking about sort of having drinks after the game, and they thought it was very funny. They thought it was a very interesting idea. But the main bloke I was talking to about it said that his threshold was not 6 to 8; it was probably more like 3 to 5. So I don't know what that says about us. We'll see what the data. Yeah, we'll see what the data says.
Yeah, I'm excited. Get those CC and dry numbers through to our email, the parkitonpodcast@gmail.com. I'm doing a little bit more data collection. I'll be checking out Henley next week. What else do we want at our email there, Jimster?
We've got the opportunity to answer some questions on rulings. As Riley said previous episodes, that Grange has some of the best umpires in the state. So yeah, if you got any weird sort of rulings, any sort of weird situations you've been in, chuck us through. And Riley or myself can get onto that one. Or any just funny stories. I've got almost an obsession with the idea of bowls clubs and the Australian Gothic. I feel like everyone's got a bowls club story to tell, and it's our job as a small South Australian bowls podcast to let those stories come to light.
Share your Australian Gothic, as you put it, Jimster. Share the Australian Gothic with the world. We want to hear it. We want to get to know what's going on.
All right. Well, I've got a random number generator ready for you, excellent. Riley.
Yeah. Well, we're going to leave you with a little bit of Schuey's wisdom. So this is Mr. Ian Schuback, OAM, with his book Bowls, Biased and Uncensored, a collection of information that helps you with your game of bowls. Now, all the pertinent information is between pages 14 to 232, and I think it's about time we spin that random number generator and see what this comes up with.
All right. Well, I'm going to click the button now, and let's see what we get. We get 21. Very early
21, a nice early one. Brilliant. Oh, look, my bookmark is only just past that. Okay. Number 21. Oh, ripper. Some of these pages have something called Schuey's Top Tip, and we've hit one early. Episode 2, beautiful little inlet, Schuey's Top Tip. And it immediately makes no sense, because it has to do with what's on the previous page. Okay. He's talking about unconscious competence. So essentially the idea that you're good, but you don't really pay attention to it anymore. You just sort of are good. And so Schuey's top tip about unconscious competence is this. Many players fall short of reaching this stage because once their skills become quite good, their motivation and desire to become better drops. This slows their rate of improvement, which subsequently plateaus. How to avoid this? Set your goals just beyond your reach and keep following them upwards. That's a nice one. I really like that one.
That's really good. I like that.
Yeah. On your Schuey. But yes, that's everything from the Park It On podcast for this week. We'll be back next week with a few more match reports, a little bit of information on something else that's going on in the world, and of course some more Schuey's wisdom. But yeah, we're out of here. See ya.